Today, we are going to try to understand the constant repetition of the concept of four in Pesach, in the Haggadah particularly. We have the four sons, we have the four questions. We have a lot of fours. We have the four cups. We're actually not going to talk about the four cups today, even though this will be relevant in a different class. We'll go back to the four cups eventually. Okay. There are also four mitzvahs of the night. Yeah, there's something called the Pesach, Matzah, and Mar, and also the Haggadah. There's the mitzvah of Haggadah also. That's another four. Yeah, there's a number of fours that we have. Now, in truth, the whole Haggadah is actually broken up into 4 parts also. It's also 15 parts, but it's also 4 parts, as maybe we'll see at the end. Not sure if we're going to get there. Okay. What is the concept of the fours in the Haggadah, on the Pesach night? Okay. So the first thing we have to know is that, shalom. Good morning.
How you doing, Ralph?
Good. Good morning. I did not send you an email, but we're talking about the fours in the Haggadah. Okay?
Okay.
So we have something, where we're going to start is understanding there are 4 lashonot of Geula. Are you guys all aware of the 4 languages of Geula? Yes?
No.
Yeah.
No? Yes, no, some no's, some yeses. There are 4 languages. When Moshe initially comes to the Jewish people, he tells them, it says, V'otzeisi, v'itzalti, I'm going to take you out. I'm going to protect you. I'm going to give you something called a Geula, and I'm going to take you to me as a nation. Those are called the 4 Lashonos of Geula. Anybody who has a chart, they'll see it on the far left side of their chart, I believe. Okay, so these are the 4
What were the 4 languages?
Hotseiti. Now it's important to understand, as we'll explain soon, it doesn't mean I'm going to take you out of Egypt. It says, Hotseiti mitachas sivlos Mitzrayim. I'm going to take you out of the suffering of Mitzrayim, not the land of Mitzrayim. That's going to be later. Okay, but the first one is Hotseisi. The second one is going to be Hitzalti. The third one's going to be Galti. And the fourth one's going to be Lakachti. Okay, those are the 4 basic Lashonos of Geula. Everything, as we're going to see, revolves around these 4 Lashonos of Geula.
Redeem, rescue.
No, what? Well, what?
Redeem, rescue, remove, and right? Those 3?
It goes, take us out of the suffering. I'm not sure what it says in the paper. We should say, take us out of the suffering. That's the first one, Hotseisi. And the second one should be protect you from the service. And the third one should be redeem. Okay. If it doesn't have that order in the paper, it's a mistake. I erased some things from the paper because the paper itself gets into more complex things that I erased because I want to make it simple for the class. So it could be there's a mistake in the paper. I didn't look over that particular part because it could be a chart's a little bit off. But that's the way it should be. And then it should be, the final one is Lakachte. I took you as a nation. Okay. Now, why is it that there are specifically 4 different languages of Geula? Why not 5? There are actually arguably 5 also, but there's 4 ones we usually focus about. And those are the 4 cups of wine. Why are there particularly 4? So the Maharal also has a very important idea, which is mamish, beautiful, and it fits perfectly with the Psukim also, that we need to know to appreciate all of Pesach, and particularly Seder night. Okay, he says that these 4 languages of Geula, they actually echo the 4 things that Hashem said was going to happen when they went down to Mitzrayim. Okay, when Hashem came to Avram initially, he told him that his children are going to go through 3 different types of hardship, and then they're going to be taken out with a great treasure, with the Rechush Gadol, a big treasure. Okay, so what are the 3 different types of hardship that Avram was promised by God that his children are going to go through? So the first one is called, they're going to be a stranger in a strange land. Okay, they're going to be Gerim in a land that's not theirs. Gerim is like strangers, foreigners. They're going to be foreigners, right? The second one is the strange land is going to make them serve them. They're going to be servants, V'avdum. Okay, then it says V'inu osam, Arba meot shana. They're going to make them suffer, lashon of inui. You guys with me? That's 3 different lashonos. That's going to happen during this exile, and then they're going to leave with a big rechush, with a big reward.
What's the third one?
Well,
what was the third exile?
No. These are 3 things, 3 qualities that Hashem is telling Avram that his children are going to suffer in Mitzrayim.
So which was the third quality?
The third one is called Inui. We're not talking about different Golises. This is all in the Mitzrayim, right? Okay. The third quality is called Inui, which means suffering, physical suffering.
Okay.
You got it? Okay. So again, there is the stranger, being a stranger, it's not their land. There is servitude, and there is suffering, physical suffering. Now the three first Lashonos of Geula, exactly in the Psukim, there's nothing even to talk about. It's exactly parallel. It's just mamish reading the words. Yeah. The first one says, the first language of Geula says, I'm going to take you out from the suffering of Egypt. That's the first one. Okay, that's exactly parallel to the suffering. That's called the Inui. Okay. The second one is, I'm going to protect you from the service. Okay, that's exactly connected to service. The third one is, I'm going to redeem you. Yeah, redeeming has to do with being in a place that's not your place. I'll explain that more, exactly what's the parallel, but it's going to be an exact parallel. It's called the Geula. We need to know what the word Geula means. Okay, and the fourth one is, after they've had all that fixing up, right, then Hashem's going to take them to be his nation. That's going to be connected, going out with a great reward. You guys are all with me? You guys understand?
So it's out of order, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's out of order, right?
Yes, it goes. When the redemption comes, it comes in the hardest one first.
Okay.
Means the hardest one goes first. So he first takes them out of the suffering, then out of the service, and then out of being a stranger in a strange land. 100%. Yeah.
Question, Rav.
Okay. Yes.
What's if you're out of the suffering already, then why would they be in servitude? Like, what's Lama?
Because the suffering is, the physical suffering. They weren't getting beaten up anymore. You could look at the Malbim. He goes through the 10 Makos and explains actually when each one of these things stopped. First, they stopped making them serve. First, they stopped beating them up, but they were still servants at a certain level. But they didn't have the Inui anymore. The Malbim Mamish shows in the Psukim how it works. There was a certain process that went over the year of when the Makos were happening. It didn't all happen once it was down, and then everything stopped. It still wasn't so simple. They immediately stopped the Inui, but they were still servants. And eventually, they got the message. They better stop that also. Okay, so see the Malbim. Got it? Okay. So why is it that that we needed all these different negative things to happen? Okay. Now, I don't want to go into this too much right now. I think it's on the chart for people to have the chart. I'm not going to go into this. It is on the chart. It is in the paper. But the bottom line is, why is it that the Jews went to exile into Mitzrayim for 400 years? What do you guys say? Why did the Jewish people have to go down to Mitzrayim for, however long they went down for in the end? For why?
Because Hashem said he'd take us out of. Because in the beginning, when Avram and Hashem, something like that.
Well, what?
Am I out something?
What?
In the beginning, when I'm
not sure. Say it again. I couldn't hear you.
In the beginning, when Hashem and Avram made the Brit that we're going to be his nation, he said that we would have to be in a galus, no?
Yes, 100%. But the question is why? Why did he say that?
Oh,
why?
Because of Abraham's shortcomings?
Okay, excellent. So it's very important to understand what Yosef is saying is very important. Oftentimes you will hear, right, there's Abraham's shortcomings, which is probably mentioned in my chart over there. And it's very important to understand, for example, the one that's most commonly known, it's Gemara and Darim has all 3 or 4 of these, but the most commonly known one is Hashem said b'ma'ida. Hashem told Avram, I'm going to promise you the land, your children will get the land of Israel. And Avram said b'ma'ida, how will I know? Right? And Chazal say that because Avram said that wasn't exactly a proper thing to say. Why not? It's a very minuscule detail. Yeah, it's not such a big problem, but there was something about it, right? And therefore, the Jewish people went down to Mitzrayim for 400 years. Have you guys ever heard this before?
Yeah.
Alex, you ever heard this before?
Nope.
Okay. So you probably will have. Now you have, but you probably will eventually. So I'm telling you now because I want to explain that it's not what it means. That's why I'm telling you. I want to make sure you hear it now so I can correct the mistake before it happens. Yeah, because the reason why the Jewish people went down to Mitzrayim for 400 years, even though Chazal say it was because Avram said this, the Maharal explains it wasn't really because Avram said this. That wasn't the cause. He says the reason why the Jews had to go down to Mitzrayim was because there had to be a certain tikkun, a certain fix-up for the sin of Adam Rishon. In the Jewish people, I mentioned this in passing, it could be last time also, one of the previous classes already, but the reason why the Jews had to go down there was because since Adam Rishon messed up mankind as a whole, there had to be a certain amount of tikkunim the Jews would have to go through to get fixed up so they can get the Torah and then restand in man's place, restand in man's position to be able to do the avodah properly. After Adam Rishon sinned, man had a certain job he was supposed to do. He could not do that properly. His body wasn't fixed to do that. He wasn't connected to his neshama. Everything was messed up. So the world could not come to its completion. Okay? The whole process of the exile of Mitzrayim fixed the Jewish people up to be able to accept a proper state, yeah, where they could then do avodas Hashem properly and bring the world to its completion and everything can work properly, right? When Chazal tell us that, we went down because Avraham, said b'ma'idar, whatever the reasons were that were mentioned, that doesn't mean that's the reason. It's just meant to say that if Avraham would have fixed up everything perfectly, there would have been no problem at all, and he would have passed every single thing with no problem. It could have been that he would have been enough of a root that his children would have been 100% perfect also. And they wouldn't have needed this. But since it was like the way the Maharal explains, it was like a microfracture at some level, therefore it wasn't totally fixed up, and his children still needed this process. But it wasn't because he did it. You understand what I'm saying? That cleared everybody.
You could say the same thing for Yitzchak or
100%.
Yaakov. Rob, you could say the same thing about Yitzchak. Why didn't they fix up everything also?
Each one fixed up more. So Avram fixed up Adam Schek to a certain point. Yitzchak also did with his Techias Amesim, that with the Kedas Yitzchak. Yaakov fixed it up even more in another quality. Certain things though, even after they did everything, it says Avram passed 10 tests. In Pirkei Avos, it says Hashem tested him 10 times with Amunah, and he passed all the tests. That was what he needed to create Klal Yisrael. There's a certain quality that still wasn't totally fixed up yet. You understand? And because of this quality, you'd see the whole Golus would have to fix that up. Yeah? So these are these three things. Now, what we need to know, again, the reason why we're doing this will help us to understand more what is the whole essence of the Haggadah. Because when we go through the process of Seder Neidos, we're going to see these mitzvos themselves help us to connect to these very same tikkunim, these very same fix-ups, which still did not get totally fixed. Okay, so that's why it's going to be important. We're going to see how these relate to our practical mitzvahs that we're going to do on Seder night, and also how the Seder is even built. And there'll be a preparation also for understanding the 4 cups in different classes, B'ezrat Hashem. Okay, so now listen. Yeah. How did we fix up these 4 different problems? Where the problems come from? So, as we've already learned before, I don't remember if you guys remember, I'm pretty sure you all heard it before at some level. When we spoke about that the Eitz Hadas itself, Chazal explained, can be different fruits. Remember we talked about that? It could be a wheat, it could be a fig, it could be wine. Did you guys all hear that from me before? Yes?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Nady, good, okay. Benji Lamb, I don't see you there right now, but you there?
Yeah, I've heard it. We also talked to might be an Esro.
Good. I just want to make sure. Excellent. Okay. Now, these 3 things, as we've also discussed before, they represent 3 parts of the person. Right? We've explained, right, that the fig, which is like a little sugar ball, that represents the physicality, right? The wine represents the heart, right? The idea being that when the wine goes in, that opens up the heart and allows the person to express himself. The self is associated with the heart. And the wheat represents the seichel. Okay. Now the idea was these 3 different things were messed up, and there was going to be a tikkun for these 3 different things through what Hashem told Avram was going to happen to them in the Golus. How does it work? So keneged, the physical body, right? The physical body of its parents, that turns into suffering, physical suffering. That's called the inui. You understand what I'm saying? You guys following me? David, you with me? David, you there?
Yeah, with you, Rob. I'm on the paper.
Excellent. Oh, you're on the paper. Gotcha. Okay, excellent. I just want to make sure you're there. Okay. So the physical suffering, that's going to fix up the physical body. Okay. The next one, which is going to be the wine, which is the heart. What is the heart supposed to do, right? When the heart becomes negative, what it does, it causes something called haughtiness, and the person feels like they're the center of the world, and they can't connect to Hashem properly, right? Connecting to Hashem properly requires us to be like His servant. Yeah. A person who's haughty cannot be a servant of anything. You guys understand what I'm saying? Yes?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes?
So that's
Good.
slave.
Okay. So the idea is that the servitude, this the Rashba says, the Rashba explains, why do we have to go to servitude? Because that would give us as a nation an attribute of being a servant. It's a certain amount of humility that a person can just do what they're told. You guys understand what I'm saying? Right? So that would fix up the idea of when the lave gets out of boundaries, it becomes haughty and it makes itself the center of the world, just like the heart itself is the center of the body. It's like the king of the body. So when its power goes out of boundaries, the person wants to be the king of the world, the king of his own life, without being underneath God. So the servitude to Mitzrayim that actually had a positive tikkun, which allowed us to fix up our haughtiness so we could later on accept God's kingship. Is that 100% clear?
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody?
Yep.
Yep,
Yosef?
Rob.
Alex, is it clear?
Crystal clear.
Excellent. Okay, Tzvi's good. Okay. Yoni, you there? Yoni Arbach. If I say that, does it come up?
Is it possible you could send me
How
one?
you doing, Ralph?
I'm going to send you everything. I'm going to send you guys. It's also a 20-page paper. I don't even know how long. It's a long paper, and there's the charts. I'm going to send it all to you guys. I'll get you guys. I didn't know you guys, the second you guys were going to be showing up. So I will send it to you and also to Benji.
How could you
Okay,
miss
now
this?
listen.
Yeah.
Now, the third one is a little bit more abstract. The first two are very simple. Physical pain for physical fixing up. Servitude for servitude. The third one you got to think a little bit about, not too much. You don't have to get nervous, but just a little bit. The concept is the seichel. Seichel, when Hashem placed us, when a person is a stranger in a strange land, okay, so the idea is their essence is being challenged. If you have an American living in Europe, so if he wants to hold on to his Americanness, he's going to have to try to do things to figure out how he's not going to be pulled along by the European crowd. First generation isn't so bad, but third generation is very difficult. It's easy for an American not to do it, but for a third generation guy's already going to be, wherever he's living, it's going to be very hard. You have a very common issue. You guys are probably aware of when you're a 50th generation Jew in America, right? So there's a lot of pull. Well, what? Somebody said something? No. Okay. There's something coming in over there, right? A person is in America, right? So there's a big pull to be American. You want to be American. Now, Jewish and American are not necessarily such good shidduchim. What's that? No, nothing again? Okay. I don't know.
Rob, I think your mic is like getting repeated.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't have a mic, so it could be my computer's doing it. But I got nothing. I just got no hands, no nothing, no nothing. I don't have anything. But I'm just simple talking over here with my computer. Anyway, the point is a person. What's it called? A person gets when they go into this other society. I'm losing my English. What's the word? Assimilated. When they get assimilated. So assimilation is a challenge to the seichel, because what assimilation does, it challenges your essence. A Jew's essence is a neshama, as we all know. And when a person's in a different society, it could be Spain, it could be America, any place you're going to be, if a person has to keep in touch with their seichel, which is their essence, to bring out their potential properly. The concept of seichel always is how to actualize things. That's the concept of seichel. You have a potential, and you want to actualize it. That's called intellect. The intellect actualizes that which is hidden within. It allows our essence to express properly. Is that clear? Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Yes? So the challenge of Egypt at this point was challenging their seichel. They had to maintain their seichel to not lose their identity as Jews. It says the Jews were redeemed in this list of three things. They didn't change their language, they didn't change the way they dressed, they didn't change their names. Right? This is all focusing on keeping in touch with their essence, which goes back to the seichel, to be able to maintain their essence. Is that clear? You guys, you with me?
Yes.
So they had to merit the ability to be Jewish, right, through this nisayon of being a stranger in a strange land. This was not about suffering. You didn't need suffering, you didn't need a servitude for this, but just being a stranger in a strange land, that itself required them to merit the concept of seichel, which was damaged by Adam Rishon. You guys understand? Yes? Yes. Good. Okay. Next step. So after having said that, right? So the Jews at the end, they got these three different qualities of redemption. Okay, as a result of this, they got these three qualities of redemption. Now we should know, or maybe we don't know, but we'll know now, that the Jewish people left early. Do you guys aware the Jewish people left early? Yes. Everybody knows they left early? Okay. Alex. You there, Alex? Alex.
I'm here. I got it.
You awake?
Yeah, I'm awake.
Okay, I don't see you there. I don't hear you. I call eyes.
Yeah.
Jonathan,
Yeah.
you're with us? You're good? Okay. So the people left early. Yosef, the people left early? They got taken out early?
Yeah.
Okay, so they did not get the full tikkun. They were supposed to get a full tikkun of these three things. They did not get their full tikkun. So at this point, we can start to understand that the mitzvos that Hashem gave them at the time to get out, that itself helped the process of the tikkun. You understand what I'm saying? Since they didn't get their full, whatever it was they needed in their suffering, right? They had something called the maror. You guys understand what I'm saying? So the maror itself, that completed the quality that was not yet fixed up in their physical body. Actually, the gematria of maror is mavis, it's death. That gives the physical body actually has to die to get the tomb of the negativity of the snake out of it. We've spoken about before Purim time for sure. I don't know if you guys all remember, right? But the concept of eating the maror, that's a little bit of a death for the body, and that fixes up the body totally. That's the maror, that fixes up that quality of the body. That's instead of the suffering, they could finish off the 400 years of their suffering through the mitzvah of maror. You guys understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, bro.
Yes.
How does it fix? Like, it's something with like it's deep stuff. Like, how does it do the fixing? The mar.
That's a good question. Any mitzvah is deep stuff, obviously, and maror and Pesach and Matzah are no exception, obviously, right? But the simple level is, mitzvahs in the Torah is called rachamim. The whole thing is called, we talk about the Torah, called rachmana, which means Hashem does things even though they don't necessarily deserve them. The whole process of mitzvos and Torah allows us to connect to things much bigger than we do just because we did them. And there's a little bit of a connection, like we talked about the tefillin. They allow us to merit a connection with the Shekhinah. We're not really meriting a connection with the Shekhinah, but by putting these little boxes on that represent that, we get a little bit. So too, the suffering that they still had to get for their bodies, even though it didn't totally come out yet, right? Even though they didn't get it, the maror itself is supposed to be bitter. They don't call it maror for nothing. It's supposed to be bitter. Now, the fact that we get chasa, maybe it doesn't taste so maror, that's very nice. But the essence of what maror is supposed to represent, that's an extra rachamim. That's why it's called chas is lashon of chas is rachamim. That's language rachamim, right? But the fact is that what it's doing something which is called maror, which means it's giving the body physical suffering, which fixes the body, which is parallel to the suffering they were supposed to get that says v'inu osam. You understand? They didn't get 400 years of it. You understand?
Yeah.
So the mitzvahs that did this helped to finish that process, even though they didn't totally get it yet. Okay?
Okay.
You got it?
Thanks.
The same thing. Now, the other ones are going to require a little bit more understanding. Okay? Now, it says Hashem took us out of the suffering, and then He took us out of the suffering, right? And therefore, they could have the merit to get their bodies got fixed up. Now, let's go to the next one, right? They were servants to Paro. Okay, they were servants to Paro, right? And they didn't have 400 years of servitude yet. So what did Hashem give them to help that? Now, we need to know over here is that the Korban Pesach actually there's two different mitzvahs in the Korban Pesach. Nobody argues about this. It's 100% black and white, right? Because the mitzvahs are actually, they're counted two different mitzvahs. They're actually on different days. There's one mitzvah of the Korban Pesach on the day of Yud Daled, and there's one mitzvah of Korban Pesach on the day of Tes Vav, and they're very different, even though there's a connection between them. Do you guys have any idea what I'm talking about?
Kind of like Purim, it's like Maseches Megillah a little bit.
Okay. That's deep. Okay, I don't know. Yeah. Listen carefully. There's a mitzvah to shech the Korban Pesach and to sprinkle the blood of the Korban Pesach. That's one mitzvah. To shech, you got to shech the Korban Pesach. That's a mitzvah is actually done on the day of Yud Daled before Pesach. You understand what I'm saying? You guys with me? Before the night, they shech the Korban Pesach. Okay. There's another mitzvah to eat the Korban Pesach. That you do on Tes Vav on the 15th. That's what you do at night at the Seder. If they would have had a Korban Pesach. You guys understand what I'm saying? Yes? Mm-hmm. So the mitzvah that the Jewish people had at that time to shech the Korban Pesach, they shech the Korban Pesach and they put the blood on their door. What did that represent? That represent their service to Hashem. We're going to have a different class, Bezrat Hashem, about the Korban Pesach itself. It's not tonight. But we're going to see that the essence of the Korban Pesach represents accepting the service of Hashem for different reasons, which will be very clear. Okay? So the idea is that Hashem gave them a mitzvah to represent His service, even though they didn't get totally fixed up by the 400 years of serving Paro, right, which is supposed to give them this quality of being a servant, right? They fixed up themselves through the idea of sprinkling the blood on the shechting the Korban Pesach, which is representing Avodas Hashem. They accepted Avodas Hashem. That was good enough. You understand? So that fixed up the second quality. You guys with me? Everything is very quiet, so I need to hear some yeses.
Yes, I'm with you, Rav.
Yeah.
We just mute ourselves.
Does anybody not understand? Don't have to be embarrassed. Is everybody awake? If anybody's not awake, say I'm sleeping. I don't know what to do. I guess can't
No,
say
I'm
anybody. I assume Yosef, you're there? You're good, Yosef?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, good. I just want to hear that voice. I'm listening to
Yeah.
I just want to make sure the people I don't hear from over there, I just want to make sure you're good. Okay, Nady, you're good?
We're good.
Yeah.
Nady, you're good?
Baruch Hashem.
Okay, excellent. Okay, Alex, you're there? Alex, you're
He's
there?
muted. He's
Yeah,
muted.
we're
Rob.
good. We're
Okay,
good.
good. I just want to make sure everybody's understanding. That's why I'm innocently trying. I just want to make sure everybody's there. Okay, good, excellent. Okay.
You're the best, bro.
Now we're going to talk about the third language of Geula. Now this is a new quality that I did not explain yet. I want to explain it now. Okay. The third quality is called V'ga'alti eschem. Now this is an extremely important foundation of understanding anything about Geula. Okay. What does the concept of Ga'alti eschem have to do with being a stranger in a strange land? Okay. So the answer is, what does the word Geula mean? This is extremely important. This also is a question, an answer to something somebody asked in the first class also. What if, we don't get a full Geula on this Pesach? What does that mean? We didn't make it? We'll see. It doesn't mean that. We're going to see right now. What is it? What does Geula mean? What does the word Geula mean? Anybody
Redemption.
remember? Well, what?
To redeem.
Redemption. Okay, that's good, but that's not. What does it mean? What does it mean?
When
Yeah,
someone takes you to themselves, when you're in a
Okay.
certain place and someone takes you to be for them.
Okay, so that's okay. We're gonna hold on to that thought for a second.
Rob,
So the
isn't that
moral
what-
explains.
Revelation of God.
No,
Oh yeah, I'm with
Well, that's
Alex.
Gala. That's Gala. That's Gala.
you're saying good. You're on the right track, but it's not. That's not. You took someplace else. Geula always means. That was
Revealing.
Alex said. I think it's revelation, right? But the idea is when their person can reveal their essence properly, that's called a state of Geula. That's what I explained. I'm sure you guys have all heard this before from me. Some of us don't remember. When a person can express themselves properly, so you'll understand immediately. This is exactly the opposite of being in the galus, of being a stranger in a strange land. What do we talk about when a person is in a place where they're being challenged by assimilation? They're not in their place, so they're being challenged by the other nation. They can't express themselves properly. So the Geula means they're being brought out and they can express themselves properly. That's called a state of Geula. That's why even when we're in the galus today, it's very important. Even when we're in the galus today, we're davening every day. Hashem's Goal Yisrael is trying to give us the ability to express our essence in any case. Even before the final Geula,
To have an
our
individual
Geula.
complete.
Well,
it's
what?
to have an individual Geula.
Well, what's again?
Right? To have a personal Geula.
Have a personal Geula that
Even
each
in the
person,
galus.
even as a whole, we can all express ourselves properly. Right, so even if a person goes through their Pesach, the goal of Pesach is to leave, even if we don't get the full Geula, right? But hopefully each person can have their own personal Pesach Geula to be able to express their essence, which is their neshama, like you guys know, to express their neshama better in the Gullus. That's still called a relative Geula because they can express their essence better, at least that. You understand? That's what the whole Pesach process is about, trying to come to a real. And when we come to the four sons at the end of the class, we'll see this even more. We'll explain this. But that's called Galti Eschem. Yeah. So I was Galti Eschem. Now that's the idea. What gives us the ability to do that? That's really the seichel, the power of the seichel. That allows a person to understand what's happening in the Gullus and to connect properly and to actualize ourselves properly. When the seichel takes control, again, we explained, the seichel is all about actualization. If you're learning a sugya, there's things hidden in the sugya, and your seichel can try to bring them out, try to reveal what's hidden. So too, when you talk about yourself, you have a certain potential. That's called the seichel brings it out, tries to understand how to bring out your essence better. You guys understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So in Gan Eden,
Yes, Rob.
this paralleled the wheat. Because the wheat, what is wheat? Wheat, as we've explained before, wheat itself represents seichel. Why does wheat represent seichel particularly? Because it's a piece of wheat which has within it the bread. So we go through this whole process and bring out the potential bread which is hidden in the wheat. So that's exactly the concept of seichel in the food itself. It's not like an orange that you eat. It's something that you have to process. It has a process which goes one thing to bring out potential until you get to a piece of bread. So when you're eating bread, it's like you're eating seichel. Because you're eating something which represents the idea of all these steps that were brought up from potential to actualization. You guys understand?
Got it.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
So the matzah, we said the maror, that fixes up the physical body. The shechting of the carbon pesach, which we'll see what's parallel to in a moment, fixes up the heart. That's the avoda. In the matzah, that fixes up the seichel. That's the idea of the seichel being able to be pulled properly. That's the concept of the matzah. You guys understand what I'm saying? Now, the fact that we told you yesterday that matzah represents the physical body, I'm saying it's seichel. I also was there for yesterday's share. That's okay. It represents two different things. We're not worried about that now, just in case anybody remembers what we talked about yesterday. But in any
Wait, what
case, it
fixes up the
also,
heart?
Okay, matzah represent
the
what?
avoda.
Ryan, daily.
What fixes up the heart, the sin, it's important not to get confused. There's a place where you might get, where it's be easy to get confused over here. In the sin of Adam Rishon, the heart was represented by the wine. The negative wine represents the idea of the heart becoming the center of the world. Okay? The fixing up of Mitzrayim was about the avoda. So we were servants to Paro, which gave us a certain amount of humility to be able to listen, take orders properly. When that got fixed up, it wasn't about the 4 cups over. That's going to be a different idea, right? What it's actually going to be about was the shechting of the carbon Pesach, because that showed we're servants of Hashem. We're following Hashem now. That's fixing up the heart. And now, after we got Maror, we have Pesach, and we have the matzah. The matzah that fixes up the seichel. The matzah is wheat. It's wheat food. That's what it is. We're looking at the wheat relative to the wheat, right? We're eating wheat without any chametz in it. If we look at the matzah, we could look at the dough, or we could look at the wheat. It's just different. It makes different types of chametz also. It's very deep stuff. But a person, the matzah itself has 2 different faces. It's relative. It's completed wheat or it's dough. The dough represents the body, and the wheat aspect represents the seichel. Okay, in any case, that's the idea. So these 3 things, now if we look at now, so what's the 4th thing? The 4th thing is actually eating the carbon Pesach. Eating the carbon Pesach itself, that makes us one with Hashem. When I explain to you the concept of the carbon Pesach itself, we'll see that the eating of the carbon Pesach, it's called eating from our Father's table. That's the concept of eating the, Yoni, I think you need a Shana Dalet over there, or Shana Gimel over there to get your pen down exactly. You haven't gotten it yet. You got need a couple more years of yeshiva there to get that perfected. The eating the carbon Pesach, that's called eating. That makes us extensions of Hashem. We're going to explain in the Pesach class, in the class of the carbon Pesach, we'll explain that more. Okay? But so that's called Lekachti. I took you to be my nation. The connection to Hashem, that's the eating the carbon Pesach. That's what the eating the carbon Pesach represents. Now, if we go back now, let's look at the 4 questions. Right? What do we say? Right? We have matzah and maror. We say, why in this night? I'm explaining to you now, the 4 questions are exactly parallel to this. Right? We have, why do we eat matzah on this night and every other night? Right? So Hashem, this is going to be the matzah is going to fix up part of the gula process of the matzah that fixed this up, right? Why do we dip? Now the dipping itself is very interesting. The dipping is something which the Gemara says is to get the kids to ask, but there's no question that it was specifically dipping. We're not, juggling eggs to get the kids to ask. We're particularly dipping. Now Tosfos says, Tosfos is a person in the Chumash, and he explains in the Chumash, why do we dip? He says the dipping particularly, that's a hint to the carbon Pesach. They had to take the blood of the carbon Pesach and dip their finger on it, and they with the azov, and they put it on their mashkof on the top of their mezuzah and on the side of the door 2 times, on the top and on the side. They put that on the that's connected to double dipping. You understand what I'm saying? So the dipping itself, that represents the idea of the avoda of the carbon Pesach, which is connected to the heart. You guys understand what I'm saying? Yes? So that's called the matzah, and then we have the maror, right? And then we have the leaning. What's the idea of the leaning? The leaning, that is exactly the eating of the carbon Pesach. The Mishnah tells us in Arvei Pesachim that when they used to actually eat the carbon Pesach, they would say, on this night we eat sli, and every night we don't have to eat sli. And so we have, right? Now that we don't have a carbon Pesach, we say the leaning instead. But the leaning represents the idea of eating the carbon Pesach. So you see these
not
4
to represent
things.
that we were like kings.
What's that?
The leaning is not to represent that we were like kings.
It definitely is, right? But that was a replacement. When we ate the carbon Pesach, that showed that we're children of Hashem. That's what I'm telling you. We'll talk about more, right? So we lean particularly on that to show we're children of Hashem, right? But today, we'd have to, anyway, because that's what we're getting. What happens is on Pesach, we become children of Hashem. Hashem's the big king, we're little princes, right? So we have this idea of showing that we're free and we're kings, okay? But in the 4 questions, right, it particularly is not about the leaning. And it is about the leaning now, but it's focusing really on the eating of the carbon Pesach when you're leaning. The reason that I know that is because when they had a Beis Hamikdash, the Mishnah tells us in Arvei Pesachim, they did not ask about the leaning. They asked about the carbon Pesach itself. They said, why in this night do we? So I'm explaining that the 4 questions are exactly paralleling these 4 things exactly. You understand what I'm saying? You got it? So that's the 4. So you have the 4 different aspects of our avoda, and you have the 4 questions. Now, what I want to tell you is that the 4 children, in my opinion, are extensions of the same concept exactly. Yeah. What's the idea of the 4 kids? What's the idea? Why are there 4 banim? Okay. So there's something called the Rasha, as we know. There's the Chacham, the Rasha, the one who doesn't know how to ask, and there's the Tam, the simple son. Okay. What I would like to suggest is that what the Torah is really explaining to us over here, why is the Torah considers particularly 4 kids, right? When it says the Torah considers 4 kids, in my opinion, what it's explaining is that the Torah knows that the Jews are going to go back to Gullus again. And they're going to be in Gullus, and the same issues, the same challenges that they were exposed to in the original Gullus are going to have to come back because, again, they left early, and they're going to have to go back into Gullus again to complete what wasn't finished in the first Gullus. Even though they have a big benefit now because they have an Neshama and they got the Torah, but they're still going to have to go back to Gullus again and have these same challenges. So what I would like to suggest is that the different children who are not necessarily such perfect children, the one who doesn't know how to ask is definitely not a perfect child. The simple one is not a perfect child, and the one who is a Rasha is certainly not a simple child. These children, we're not talking about 5-year-olds. A 5-year-old doesn't know how to ask is a 5-year-old. He's not a kid who doesn't know how to ask. The Brisker Rav explains, I might give you this class later on, but all of these children are not just little babies who don't know what's going on. Even though at the Seder, we might have our little kids who don't know what's going on so much to ask the questions, but there's much deeper ideas over here. We're talking about children who do know what's going on, but they just don't know how to ask. You understand? So we're not talking about 5-year-olds who don't know how to ask, and a 3-year-old doesn't even, or they're just very simple. You understand? Is that clear? They're all kids who are very potentially should know how to ask, but they don't know how to ask. Children who should not be Toms, but they are Toms. So what is this? What are the points, right? So I'd like to suggest that these 4 kids are actually just a straight expression of these 4 different qualities, right? Again, what are the 4 qualities? What's the first quality we've been discussing? You guys tell me just to keep you guys awake here. What's the first quality we've been discussing? The first challenge of a Gullus. What?
The Inui, the suffering.
The Inui, thank you. The Inui. So if a person doesn't stand up to the Inui properly, we're not judging anybody, just to be sure. I'm not going there at all. I don't mean to, right? But the point is that the Inui provides a very special challenge where a person can go off the derech and be very bitter at Hashem, and that makes a Rasha. You understand what I'm saying? It seems like Hashem left us. Suffering is very difficult, and if it goes off and it doesn't bring to its proper tikkun, so it can produce potentially a Rasha, right? That's the Rasha son, right? What's the second one? What's
being
the second?
Being
a servant, right? Sometimes a person can be engulfed in the society. They can have many societies, they produce a system of servitude. We're actually just serving the society. In America, many times people are just serving their jobs. They're just serving their jobs to make money to get retirement, and then they die. They're just serving some bigger company. They're serving the money. They're serving whatever they're serving. In different societies, it might come out different ways. There's something called a servant, where a person just kind of goes along with the system, and they don't really have any kind of a self. There's no self-expression anymore. They just do what they're told. And they go to college and they get a job, and there's no me. There's no me. The heart has been fried out. You understand? You guys following what I'm saying over here? There's no me. They just kind of get swallowed up in the society, and they're just servants to the society. Whatever the society says to do, that's what they are. They have no self-identity anymore. Right? They have no ability to even get excited about serving Hashem. So that turns into a child who doesn't even know how to ask. It means even if he's not a rush, he's doing the Seder, he's doing things, but he just does whatever he's told. He doesn't even know how to ask a question, because his self has been, his heart and his self it's just trained to be a servant. So if this person in their society can be affected, just become a complete servant. He doesn't have any sense of self anymore. He just does whatever he's told, and he doesn't even know how to ask a question. What's a question? You understand? That's called the kid who doesn't know how to ask. You guys understand what I'm saying?
Rav, are these supposed to be all the different things that happen to us because of Galus? Meaning like...
Yeah, that's what we're saying exactly. A person can be a negatively affected these 3 ways. And the person who's making it properly is the Chacham. Right? But the negative effects could be like this. And the other one is the one that says Mazos. So that's a person whose seichel has been taken away and it goes into the society. He's completely assimilated.
Benji, turn off your mic.
What's going on? Everything's good? We're all good? Okay.
Yeah,
so a person sometimes, right, they can be completely assimilated in the society, not as a servant, but their seichel itself instead of trying to keep themselves separate from the society and holding on to their own thing, they've mamish into the society. They're trying to develop themselves within the society as much as possible. That's where their seichel is. And when it comes to Torah, they have a seichel, right? But all the seichel can say is mazos. There's no, it doesn't know nothing. It just doesn't know nothing about the Torah because their whole seichel has been placed into that society that they're in, which has its own framework of what's chashuv. You guys understand what I'm saying? So you have a kid who's, even if he has intellect, but it's been misplaced. It wasn't used to try to bring out his essence. It's totally placed in the society out there. It knows all about the internet. It knows all about the sports. It knows all about this. When you come to, a Seder night, what can it say? It can always say mazos. What is this? I don't even know. I don't know what's going on. There's no kind of a depth over there. It doesn't even know how to deal with the Torah. You understand? You guys following? Right?
Yeah.
So you'll think about this, but these are three different challenges which the Golos produces. One can take away the person's essence in himself as being an individual, right? One can take the person's seichel away to wherever it might take according to that society. In one, the suffering itself can take a person away from God directly and become a rasha. Even if the people are all at the Seder, they're not going to connect to it properly. The Chacham, right, when a person, what does the Chacham ask? It's very interesting what the Chacham asks. He says, what are all these mitzvahs are doing here on this night to you? What are all these mitzvahs are doing here, right? It says, you should answer him even until when it says, right, you're ein maftirin on the afikomen. What's the idea of ein maftirin on the afikomen? Do you guys understand what I'm saying? These are the words of the Haggadah that we answer to the Chacham. Okay? We say you should answer him until the final halacha of you're not supposed to have dessert, maftirin on the afikomen. You're not supposed to have dessert after the afikomen. You guys understand what I'm saying? That's a halacha. After you eat the matzah, you're not supposed to eat anything else. You guys understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yes? So why does it focus on that? Because the idea is, what you're supposed to answer the Chacham is how he can take Pesach into the rest of the year. The taking the time of the matzah is showing that like we explained to you guys yesterday quickly, the goal of the Seder really is to try to get us reconnected to Hashem and bring that into our year through the mitzvah, remembering Yetzias Mitzrayim every day, twice a day. We're supposed to be living it through the year. When a person connects to the idea of Yetzias Mitzrayim properly, it changes who he is. It changes his entire life. His whole life is about connecting to Hashem, who's Anochi Hashem Lokech Mitzrayim. That's called the Chacham. You understand? That's called the Chacham. So a person who is living properly with Yetzias Mitzrayim, right, he's going to be able to survive through the Galus of America, wherever Galus we're in, keeping connected with Hashem properly all throughout the year. So that's called the Chacham. That's what we're trying to get to. We're trying to learn how to take all the messages of Pesach with us through the rest of the year. And in that way, we'll always be in a relative state of Geula through the whole year. You understand? That's connected, the fourth language of Geula, which is I took you to a nation, I took you to me, right? Obviously, all of them, right? We have all of them. We have to get all three. And then you get the fourth one, which is connection to Hashem. That's the goal. The goal is to get the connection to Hashem. Hashem took us as a nation, which is called Am Hashem took you out of Mitzrayim. That is the essence of our nation. You guys understand?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the three. So those are the four sons, and those are the four questions, and that's the different. Those are the different things we do on Pesach night. Got it?
Rob, can I ask you a question?
Sure. Yeah, we got 10 minutes. I just want to warn you guys. It's not a warning, just a heads up. Is the guys who were here before? No, I said we're going to give at 10 o'clock. Whenever we finish, I'm going to wait till 10. It's another 10 minutes or so. I'm going to be giving a shir on Az Yashir. Az Yashir, as I've repeated to you guys many times already, that has the secret of the Geula in it. It's a way to, Chazal say that if a person says it with Kavanah, they're guaranteed to see the Geula. So we're going to go through that and explain all the words. We're going to go through all the words and explain at a deep level. We're going to start that at 10 o'clock, and we'll be doing that the next couple nights. I'm going to be speaking from 9 to 11. That's what I can. The yeshiva wants me to keep all my hours. I don't think that's so realistic exactly right now. It's kind of a state, but at least we'll have that. And so if you guys want to stay, in about 10 minutes or so, we're going to change over. We're going to start another share if anyone wants to stay. If nobody stays,
The next year is Az Yashir.
yeah, we're going to start going through from the beginning. I gave a little introduction yesterday. We're going to really start today because most people couldn't stay. So we'll see what happens today.
I have a chavrus at this time, so it's like.
Oh, that'll be kavua for you. Okay, so whatever. Okay. So you can hear it later. It'll be on the. Hopefully, it'll be clipped off, and it'll be I can send you a link later on.
Thank you, Rob.
Whatever it is, no problem. Yeah, Nate, you have a question?
Yeah. So why did we leave early? Why wouldn't we wait for 400 years and get all the proper tikkunim?
We would have been on the 50th level of Tumah.
Right. So there was a problem because they didn't. The tests were very hard. And they were falling into the too much tumah, and they were going to lose their connection with Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. They would lose their connection. There was something called the 50th level of Tumah. Whatever it was, as Machlokes was the 50th level of Tumah. Whatever it is, they would have assimilated too much and it would have been very bad. So they wouldn't have made it.
So
You
now we're
understand?
on like we're in the same like body state that they were in when they left Mitzrayim.
We got fixed up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? When they left Mitzrayim, we're like little midgets on giants in a certain quality. And the other quality, obviously spiritually, were much smaller than they were after they left. When they were left, they were the biggest, level ever in a certain level, right?
Yeah.
We're very, very small, right? But they were physical,
Okay.
right? There's another idea. I just want to tell you maybe a short idea, and we'll finish off with this. There's another beautiful, Alex, you're still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, just listen. This is nice before you leave. There's a very interesting idea. The concept of the 4 banim bichlal, the concept of banim, children. It's interesting that the mitzvah of Vigat Levincha, which is about telling over the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim, is particularly focusing on the father-child relationship. Why is that? You guys understand the question? I mean, it's an interesting thing. It's particularly focusing on, of all places over here, the concept of from a father to a child. Okay? It could be that the reason is because this is a new idea. I didn't really focus on this class, but just because we have a couple minutes over here, just to tell you one thing about the 4 children. It could be that one of the primary ideas is that part of the quality of what we gained on Pesach itself was called being children of Hashem. You guys ever heard about this before? Where do we see that we became children of Hashem on Pesach particularly? Anybody want to help?
Israel.
That's good, excellent, right? This is called, we spoke about before, we asked you guys many times already this year, why did we leave particularly on Makos Bechoros? Remember that, you guys? Everybody should remember this.
Yeah.
Right? Why do we live in Makos Bechoros particularly? Because Hashem wanted to show us that we're going to be Hashem's firstborn. Right? So, accepting the relationship Hashem is giving us in Mitzrayim has to do with being his child. So when a father has to give a child a relationship of being a proper father. You understand? So when we're giving over the story of Mitzrayim, the father's obligation is to come to the son as a father and properly represent what a father really means. A person being a father, a proper father, you have to live up to the obligation of being a proper father so the son can understand what it means as a father and then take that and apply that to his relationship with Hashem. You know what I'm saying? The father has to give the child an ability to appreciate what it means to be a father so that he can then take that appreciation and apply it to Hashem, who's a spiritual father, right? So since this night we're trying to embrace that relationship, right? Therefore, the mitzvah particularly focuses on Vigat Levincha, that you should give it over to your child because the child has to receive it from his father, then he'll be able to understand what Hashem is really giving. You understand? Yes? Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Rav.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Rav.
So anybody's tuning out, go. If anybody's left, we'll continue with us, Yoshir.
Thank you,
Rav,
Rob.
question.
Tomorrow we have another class, same time.
Thank you, Rav. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow.
You guys all the full sheets.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is.
Rob, can you explain the I got the 4 sons, but the 4 questions and how that connects to the different ideas of being in Galus
Yes.
or Geula?
Yes. We start. What's the first for the 4 questions? Remind me.
Shanu Matvilim.
The first one I think is matzah. Yeah, I don't know.
All right.
Whatever it is, let's start with matzah. The first one is matzah. So matzah, we explained, matzah represents the concept of the seichel, right? Which is the Galti Eschem. Okay. Then we got the I don't know which one's next. The maror. Let's just say for argument's sake, is the maror represents the idea of the maror, which is the inui, right? Then we have the dipping. Tosfos says that the dipping itself represents our avodas, the vote of the Korban Pesach, that they had to shech the Korban Pesach and dip it and put it on their mashkov and their mezuzahs in their house, around their houses on Pesach night. So it reminds us of the service of Hashem. Even though, of course, it's a sign to the kids. But the point is that in any case, right, they chose that as a sign because that reminds us of the Korban Pesach of what we did.
Uh-huh.
You understand? And then the leaning itself, that is particularly associated with the eating of the Korban Pesach. And we explained that I know that because the Mishnah says in Arvei Pesachim that when there was a Beis Hamikdash, they did not say because we lean, even though they also for sure lean then also. But it says that why do we eat sli? Why do we eat the Korban Pesach on this night? See, that's the essence of that's really the essence of what the question is getting at, which is this idea again of being free and being Hashem's children. This is exactly the point.
I don't get to the connection between meaning. They didn't say leaning, but what's the connection why we do leaning now and the Karban Pesach?
The leaning, when there was a Beis Hamikdash, leaning was not in the 4 questions.
Okay.
What was the 4th question? The 4th question was eating the Karban Pesach. Why do we have Sliyesh? So therefore I understand the really 4 questions was that. They lean when they eat the Karban Pesach.
Ah, okay.
Lean when there's no Karban Pesach, at least we still lean. So that represents the essence of the Karban Pesach in any case, right? And leaning itself represents we're children of Hashem, that's what we got from eating the Karban Pesach. So the leaning itself represents being children of Hashem, B'nai Malachim, which is exactly the same concept of eating the Karban Pesach, even though we don't actually have the Karban Pesach, we have leaning. So that's can I get that quality?
Oh,
that's
okay.
It took me to a nation.
Thank you, Rav. Got it.
My pleasure.
How's your family doing? Everyone's healthy?
Baruch Hashem. As far as who even knows, well, I think so. You never know. It's the most crazy thing. You just never know. Yeah, I hope so. You know, you're walking around, you have no idea. You hope.
It's a time.
It's
crazy time.
It's amazing. Not much amazing.
Oh. Yeah. And everyone's home right now?
You feeling good?
I'm feeling good. I had a cold a few days ago, but like it's going away. So hopefully I didn't spread anything.
Okay.
In Sahel.
Amazing.
Yeah, but Baruch Hashem, it's going good. It's me and 2 other guys here. We set up the whole Beis Medrash in Sahel. I don't know if you noticed. There's like 3 computers for the Zoom shiurim, and we each have our own like makom here and there.
Beautiful.
And Baruch Hashem, it's going good.
You still go to a minion at the hotel, I heard.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, people are saying like Rav Ami doesn't daven with the minion. I don't know what the deal is exactly. If we should or shouldn't.
Okay, I'm not fasting, but all good. Okay. You should just daven with kavana. Wherever you daven, you should go with kavana.
Right.
Okay. You sticking around for the next class?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, guys. Jonathan,
Yeah.
you with us?
I am.
Okay, here we go. We're just gonna. I doubt anybody's really gonna come, so I think we'll just start now. I don't think anybody's really gonna come. Okay, so Az Yashir. Just opening up my siddur over here. Az Yashir, Moshe B'nai Yisrael. The first thing we have to understand over here is the concept of singing. The concept of singing, right? It says Az Yashir. When we're trying to relate to Az Yashir properly, the goal is that we should be singing to Hashem. We've mentioned many times in the class already, if you follow the words over there, it says, Az Yashir Moshe B'nai Yisrael Sashir Azos Lashem Vayomru Leimur. They said to say. Right? So Chazal tells us, what does it mean they said to say? It means they said it for all generations to say. Okay? What does it mean they said it for all generations to say? That the same revelation that Hashem revealed to them at Kriyas Yamsuf is relevant for all generations. Therefore, all the future generations should also be singing this song. And then it says, Ashur la Hashem, I will sing to Hashem. And it's interesting, it says that even though they all sang it together, it says Ashur la Hashem, because each person felt at Kriyas Yamsuf Hashem was personally relating to him directly. You understand? This is also the same concept of the first mitzvah, which says, Anoch Hashem Elokecha, that took you out of Mitzrayim. Am Hashem that took you out of Mitzrayim. Each person felt very excited. They felt very proud that Hashem chose them. You understand? And that was something which was magnified also at Kriyas Yamsuf. Okay. So what does it mean singing? What's the idea of singing? Now, it's interesting that the Ramchal, he has a piece called Drush on Kivui, and he explains over there that there's 3 primary ways to get Hashem to reveal himself into the world, to do our avodah properly. He says one is Maisim Tovim. So that's good. Maisim Tovim, can't beat that. That's pretty broad. That gets everything. The second thing he mentions is, I'm not sure exactly, I don't remember the exact order. He mentions Tefillah. So Tefillah is a good way to get him in. And the third thing he says is Shir, is by singing to Hashem, which is kind of weird. I mean, it's nice to know, but if you'd be knocking it down to 3 things, I mean, you're putting everything in like Maisim Tovim, that's like one group. You got tefillah and then shir. I would have thought, okay, shir is also like Ma'aser Tovim. There seems to be something special about the shir. And it's interesting, the Ramchal also says that the concept of shir itself is also hidden in the name Yisroel. He says Yisroel is, it's not exact, but the way he says it, it's his drush. He says that the Ramchal says, Yashar Kel, the word Yisroel itself is Yashar Kel. So Yashar means straight to God. And Yashar itself is the same letters as shir, right? Where it's shearing, singing to God. The idea being that part of the essence of the Jewish people's relationship with God and what makes us a Jewish people is singing to God. Now, why would that be part of our essence, right? So he explained to you already in the first class. It's Kedai. If you did not hear Benji and Yonatan, I don't know if you heard the first class yet, but if you didn't hear the first class, it's Kedai. I can give you a link to it, but I don't know if you can. I don't know exactly how the YouTube's working today.
I listened to the first year with, there was like a bunch of people, and I'm pretty sure I listened to it this afternoon.
Okay, great. So whatever.
Yeah.
So we talked about, so over there, I think it was the first class, we asked, I think, why do we say in a bracha, why do we say Shelo Sani Goy? That was the first class? I can't think about too many things at the same time, unfortunately. Yeah. Said, why do we say Shelo Sani Goy? Part of the reason, even there's more things to understand also over here, but part of the reason is because a person has to make themselves a Jew. They have to actualize themselves. It's not something that you're born with. There be different people are born with different levels of it, but a person has to actualize the relationship with themselves. The neshama is like a seed, right? And the seed has to be brought out, right? And part of the bringing out is when you're bringing out the neshama, then it takes pride in the relationship with Hashem. And in fact, it will want to sing to Hashem. It'll be very excited about singing to Hashem. When the neshama is really developed properly, when you have a real Yisroel, a fully ripe Yisroel, it will want to sing to Hashem because it will be proud of Hashem, excited about the relationship Hashem is giving it. If you go to a cardiologist for a checkup, he checks your pulse, right? If you go to a spiritual heart doctor for a Jew, he's going to see how well can you get excited about singing to Hashem. That's an expression of your essence coming out. What?
Does your dad do that?
No, that's what I do. He checks the pulse. I check the maybe he also does that a little bit, but but that's the right. So that's called a spiritual heart doctor is going to be able to check. You can do your own. You can be your own spiritual heart doctor and see how excited your heart's getting. But that's called Jewish. When you're a properly developed Jew, you're going to sing to God. That's called Yisroel. That's called Shir Kel, right? So over here, singing is actually an expression of the neshama breaking out of the goof. When the neshama finds expression, it wants to sing. It sings. It's music. Actually, music has to do with the neshama. There's something called the letters. The letters represent the physical body. There's something called the tagin on the letters. That's called the nefesh. And then there's the vowels. That's called the ruach. And then there's the neshama is actually the trup, which is the singing. Right? So singing isn't just, what?
You said there was letters and then tagin.
The tagin are like the little crowns on the letters. That represents like the physical, that's like the spiritual part of the soul. It's connected with the body, like the nefesh. Okay? But the neshama is the singing. So you can have words, you could say all these words, but you could say them and then you could sing them. And it's very different. We're supposed to be singing the words, not just saying the words. That's an expression when the neshama is relating, then it's going to be singing the words. You understand? That's called singing. Nady, you with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Right. Okay, so we're singing the words. We're talking about the essence of a Jew at this point. And the essence of a Jew, the Ramchal says, he sings to Hashem. It's called Yashar Kel, and Yashar is the same language as Shir Kel, singing to God. Okay. Now, what does it mean? I just want to try to explain to you the difference between singing and saying the words. There's a very simple mushal. It doesn't matter mushal. It's like an example. When a person, did you ever see a person? Nady, you listening?
Yeah, I'm
Nady,
listening. I'm listening. I'm eating also right now, so I'm
okay. You ever saw somebody who was very excited about basketball before? I'm picking on you because maybe you know somebody better. Yeah.
Yeah, sure, of course.
About basketball before? Were you ever excited about basketball before?
Yeah, back in the day.
Back in the day. So imagine back in the day your favorite team, right? And imagine your favorite teams in the playoffs and in the championship. I don't know what you call these championships exactly, honestly. But they're playing the championship, and your favorite team wins the championship, or your favorite guy gets an important point. Yeah? So naturally, a person is very excited. They sing out. They're cheering. They put their hands up there. Yeah, wow, amazing. They're completely into it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah?
100%. Yeah.
That's called singing. They're singing for their hero. They're singing. They identify with the team. And they're singing for their team. It's just a different form of singing, right? So when we're singing over here to Hashem, that's exactly the same concept we want to be connecting to. Just like we could see people doing it in a Goyish way, not Jewish way, with their heroes, with their rock singers or whatever it is, and they're going to be cheering for them. They're going to be proud of them, excited about them. So too, we're excited about God. Yeah. When the neshama is properly developed, it will be excited about God and will sing to God. That's what the Ramchal says. That one of the greatest ways of bringing God's presence and serving God is through singing. That's an expression of neshama breaking out of the goof. It's coming out of the goof, right? And that it causes God to reveal His spirituality into the world, the relationship into the world with us. You guys understand? Good. Az Yashir, Moshe. Now, why does it say Az over here? Now, Az, right, there's an interesting idea that the Jews, the first time the Jews really sang as a nation like this was at Kriyas Yamsuf. It says, particularly at Kriyas Yamsuf, then it says they had Emunah in Hashem. Yeah, and the concept of their singing is really about the Emunah, right? The Emunah is this relationship that they saw they could trust Hashem. That gave them a certain simcha. The Maharal explains that bitachon in Emunah, that makes simcha. When you know you can depend on Hashem, He's going to be there for you, that makes you very happy. You understand? When they left Mitzrayim, even though Hashem did all these miracles, they still didn't get the message. Even though Hashem meant for them to get the message, they didn't really get the full message of this relationship Hashem was giving them until Kriyas Yamsuf. Because even at that time, they understood perhaps Paro was playing hardball, Paro wouldn't let him out, so Hashem was, attacking. But once they got out, who says Hashem's still going to be with them to do miracles once they get out? But over here, they were already out. Paro already freed them. They were already free. They were already out. Basically, they're walking away. Paro freed them. So over here, Hashem showed them He's still going to be with them. So over here, they realized, and when He called the Mitzvah back, and He wanted to just finish him off, He showed how every single Mitzvah got exactly what he deserved, right? Then they were very excited because they understood that Hashem was mamish showing them how He's going to be, like we spoke about many times over here. This was an expression of God's kingship. That's why it says Az Yashir. After they saw Hashem's kingship, that made them very excited about Hashem and being proud in Hashem, like we explained, is part of being Jewish, right? This is when they had it, and this is when they finally sang. They did not get this message really at the 10 Makos. It was only over here. Az Yashir Moshe V'nei Yisrael, Es Yashir Azos, this song. Now it's interesting, Chazal tell us it's actually called Zos because this is a feminine version of the final song. They're going to sing a bigger song at the final Gula. Over here, they're also singing, but there's going to be a different, bigger song at the final Gula. We're saying, even though there are hints to the final Gula in this song, yeah, but this is still, in any case, a feminine version of the song. Zos, Lashem, Vayomer,
Who says this? Kasher itself is Nikeva in general, like the word.
There's a chazal about it. There's a chazal about it. I don't exactly know the language. I'll email it to you. It's for sure there. Asher Lashem ki golga. Okay, sus v'romavaya. Now, what I want to tell you over here, the concept of golga. I've spoken about this with you guys before. We spoke about why does it mean Hashem is going to be haughty. I talked about it in the first class already, I believe. What does it mean Hashem is going to be haughty exactly? So we explained that Hashem can't really be haughty because by definition He's beyond everything. So there's nothing to be haughty. It doesn't fit by Him, right? But He expressed His a meat of haughtiness as a Chassam Sofer in order that we should be haughty in Him. Now the concept of sus v'romavayam, this could be understood three different ways. That's what I want to focus on with you guys tonight, because really there's three different themes which are being developed over here. There's a number of themes over here which we'll see, but there's three primary themes of the sus v'rochvo. Hashem made a special miracle over here where He clung, I don't know if my English isn't doing so well, I apologize. He bound the horse to the rider, okay? And when they drowned in the Yam Suf, He bound the horse to the rider. And one of the ideas is that the horse itself represents the Yetzer Hora. And the reason Chazal ask, why is it that they put the Sus first? Because it's showing this was the problem that the Mitzrayim had. Now I want to tell you guys a secret. It's not a secret. It's only a secret you might not know this, right? But it's in Derech Hashem. Yeah, it's something which is very important to know. The Ramchal explains in Derech Hashem, when a person remembers Yetzias Mitzrayim during the year, he actually awakens the power of the Geula itself. You guys remember this? We spoke about this. I'm sure we probably spoke about it in the Shema. I mentioned it in passing. Benji, you heard about this? When a person remembers, this even connects with the idea of the, they say this, the Tash Rashbatz, I think he says in his Perish in the Haggadah, it says, in the Haggadah, it says, the So the Rashbat, I think this is the same concept as the Ramchal is saying. It says, what does man marble asaber b'yasei means to speak about the whole year long, not just on Pesach night. For sure on Pesach night, but even the whole year long, right, is Meshubach. It's a good thing. And the Ramchal explains when a person does this, they awaken. A person can have like a little every day of their year, they can get a little, what's it called, a little IV drop. A little IV drop of Pesach itself every day of the year. When you're singing about this song, this is for sure part of that process. It means you don't have to, but the more you sing about it, the more you get connected. So there's a certain power of getting a little bit of a geula every day when you get really excited about this song. This is what Chazal is saying. You're supposed to sing it every day. Keep connected with the excitement of the geula, and you will get the power of your geula every single day. You understand what I'm saying? Very important, right? And then you take the geula, and you take your tefillah, each according to all the different Rishonim, whatever way you want to understand it, right? So this is called Sus Baruch Mavayam. He took the horse represented the Yetzer Hara, the negative physicality, and it was before the rider because this is showing what was the downfall of the Mitzrayim. We explained before, Hashem particularly made the culmination of Yetzias Mitzrayim through Kriyas Yamsuf. Do you guys remember why? Nady, you remember?
Yeah. Because the water represents the physicality, so it's like the physicality is bound before us. So we conquer the physicality.
Excellent, perfect. So the water represented the potentially negative physicality. Hashem was showing, if you want to see what Yetzias Mitzrayim was all about with in a three-dimensional picture, you need Kriyas Yamsuf, because you're going to see the raw physicality is actually serving the Jewish people, and it's going to wipe out the Mitzrayim. And that's the same idea as the Sus V'rochel. So why are the Mitzrayim being wiped out? Because they followed the raw physicality, which is represented by the horse. It's called, Zeram, their seed is a seed of horses, right? They were just like wild horses with as forms of people, right? But therefore Hashem made a special miracle over here to show what was their downfall, right? So there's a certain process of Pesach, which is called a process of fixing up the goof, which is going to be free of the Yetzer Hara by the end. Obviously, it doesn't take a genius to figure out. This is why it's called Chag HaMatzot, right? Because matzah itself is something which does not have, it's bread which does not have chametz in it. So when we eat the matzah for 7 days, what we're really doing, we're going to have a different class about this hopefully soon enough, but just over here, this is the concept, the culmination of Yetzias Mitzrayim, finished off over here, where you see a certain perfection of the group. It's not connected anymore with the Yetzer Hara. And nobody's going to get totally free to the Yetzer Hara, but the goal is when you go through a Pesach process, your physical body is supposed to be more freed of the Yetzer Hara than it was before you started. It's a ladder that goes up to Shemayim, it never ends. And each person, there's a certain quality of the next, a person is compared to a tree. Every year the tree kind of comes out a little bit more, right? So Pesach is a time of our freedom, right? And it's a time when our body is supposed to get free, so it's not going to hold us back from we're not giving Pesach share now, but it's almost Pesach, so I'm just mentioning it, right? But this is called, Kriyas Yamsuf is the seventh day of Pesach, so that's expressed by this idea of the horse and the rider being drowned. You guys got it? Okay. The second aspect is of Pesach, really of this whole story over here. Obviously, Kriyas Yamsuf is at the end of Pesach, at the end of Yetzias Mitzrayim, is Hashem's kingship. This is something which I focused on with you guys a lot, right? And we explained what is focusing on the horse have to do with God's kingship. Jonathan, what do you say? What is focusing on the horse have to do with God's kingship? Any ideas?
The horse represents our Yetzer Hara, right?
That's what it did in the first pshat, not necessarily in this pshat.
Okay.
What I'm trying to explain to you is the whole song can be read like 3 different ways. There's 3 themes going through here, and they're all going to be important for us.
Like horses are, they're quite regal, no?
Okay, sounds good. So in any case,
I don't know.
Okay, you don't know. It's fine. Nady, what do you say? Benji goes last.
I don't really have anything for this one.
Okay, this is very, very important. I wouldn't even. This is very important. Listen carefully, Benji. Any ideas?
I'm not sure when we talk about like the Merkava, the horse.
Okay, that's gonna be the
king.
next. That's good, but it's next shot. You're saying good. The concept's like this. Now, this is extremely important. I try. This is one of the major themes I try to give you guys, and I hope you'll get it. You'll get it. You'll understand this. But we talk about kingship. what is the essence? There's different qualities of relationship which are essential in different types of relationships, right? What is the essence of a king relationship with his people? So actually, the essence of a king's relationship with his people is something called trust. If there's the trust, the king is the one that the people trust to help them. That's the job of the king. If there's no trust, there ain't no king. There could be a dictator, there could be a ruler, but there's definitely no king. We explained before, the job of the king is to bring out the best of the people, to take care of the people. That's his job. And we explained that the king has to be chosen by the people. The Vilna Gaon explains the language of king actually is nimlach, which means to choose, not because the king decides what to do, but because the people choose the king. And it requires a relationship where the people are going to depend on him. So over here, one of the main themes of Yetzias Mitzrayim, forgetting about Pesach, but the whole concept of Yetzias Mitzrayim, which is one of the roots of the whole Torah, right, is Hashem revealing his kingship over the Jewish people. He took us to be his nation. He's going to look over directly, right? And so he was expressing his kingship over the Jewish people at the Song of the Sea, at the splitting of the sea. Where do you see a hint of this in the song itself? What do you say? Where do you see a hint of this in the song itself, outside of what I'm telling you now? So the answer is the last pasuk of the song, which is the 18th pasuk, the 18th pasukim of the song. Yeah, in the last pasuk it says Hashem Yimloch Le'olam Va'ed. Right, and I've told you guys a number of times, all you guys, I believe, at some point or another, that this is the first time when the Jewish people really accepted God's kingship, even though there were no mitzvos over here. How do we see there's an idea of accepting God's kingship without any mitzvos in our everyday lives? When I talk about accepting God's kingship without mitzvahs, how do you see that in our everyday lives? Yeah. So the answer is the Shema, right? The first paragraph of the Shema. Remember, I gave you guys this class to Nadine, also Jonathan. I think just to remember, remind you guys, we talked about the Shema Derech Hashem. I'm sure Benji and his, a long time ago also. Right? We talk about the Shema Derech Hashem. I always explain. There's two paragraphs of the Shema. There's the first paragraph is called Kabbalas Ol Malchus, as the Gemara says in Brachos, and the second paragraph is called Kabbalas Ol Mitzvos. So the question is, what does it mean accepting God's kingship without the mitzvos? What does it even mean? So the answer is, we're not going through everything again now, but the answer is because the essence of the kingship is before the mitzvos. The essence of the kingship is the trust of the people in his king. That's called accepting him as the king. Now, after we trust him, he's going to tell us how to get ahead, how to bring out our best. That's going to be the mitzvos. When he gives us the mitzvahs, he's not giving us mitzvahs because he's bored. He wants to boss people around. He's giving us the mitzvahs to help his nation to get to the best possible way they can. But first, you got to accept the kingship. We're trusting Hashem. He's going to do our best for his nation. He's going to be the king. Understand? So when Hashem was revealing his kingship, this is just exactly further explanation what I told you guys before, that being Jewish means being excited about Hashem. These people are going to trust in their horses. These people are going to trust in their chariots. And we trust in the Shem Hashem. That's exactly what it's about. That's called being Jewish. That's being excited about our king. So the second idea is Sus v'rochvo Ramavayam, the horse and its rider, because they trusted in their horse. So Hashem was trying to make a battle between what the Jews are supposed to trust in and what they trusted in. So who's going to get it over here? The horse that they trust in. How's your horse going to help you now, Mr. Rider? The horse was bound to the rider. So Hashem was showing, see what your horse is going to do for you now against me, right? It just showed this was the problem. They trusted in their horse. Their mom is trusting in their horse, not the Yetzer Hara over here, but the horse is a sign of the thing that's going to raise them up and it's going to give them their edge in the battle to win. How are they going to beat the Jews with their horse? They're going to trust their horse. You understand? So this is the second theme which is being developed, which is called Hashem's kingship. You understand? Yes? Yes. Okay. The third quality is the holiness of the Jewish people, which is not the Yetzer Hara itself, but this is something which Benji was alluding to before, that the horse itself is like a Merkava. This Moshe Shapiro explains. He says that the point is that we are the Merkava for Hashem. Yeah? When a person is trying to make a horse his Merkava, that's showing he's missing the point of creation. Creation was made, and the Jewish people and everybody was made to be a Merkava, which means a chariot for Hashem's presence in the world. And this was really the final goal of the Jewish people at Kriyas Yamsuf. When the Jewish people left Mitzrayim through the process which finished off at Kriyas Yamsuf, they became a chariot. Their physical body got fixed up to the extent that it could be a chariot for the Shekhinah and for the divine presence. That's what it got at Kriyas Yamsuf. And at this level, Moshe Shapiro explains that everything in the world is ultimately a chariot for him, and the horse, which represents a false chariot, a false thing that people are going to get raised up on. So it got wiped out. Because we're supposed to recognize everything. We're all here to be his. There's an interesting pasuk in Shir Hashirim. It says, to the horse in Paro's chariot, you are similar to me. Just like Paro was proud of his horse and his horse raised him up, so too Hashem is proud of us and we raise him up. We become Hashem's chariot. We become Hashem's horse he rides on in this world. That's what it means. That it says Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov were like the Merkava for the Shekhinah. So too every Jew, we got this ability as a nation through Kriyas Yamsuf. Yeah, so in that sense, Hashem raised himself up again above all these other things. You guys got it? That's the third theme which is happening over. We'll see how this theme plays out more in the future of the song, but this is the beginning. Right, exactly. We're going to make a little place for him down here. That's going to be the next part. Exactly. All right, good. Excellent. Okay. So that's the first pasuk. Again, we're singing about all these three different things which we're excited about. Where he's going to remove the Ra. He's going to make us holy. And he's going to be our king. He's got it? Okay. Now, we explained yesterday, I don't think any of you guys were here yesterday. We explained yesterday quickly that Az Yashir is so special, one of the specialnesses of it, right? The Zohar says that it has the past, it has the present, which is the Emunah, which Hashem is always directing us along throughout the song, right? And it also has the future. It has Tchias HaMesim and also Yemos Mashiach. It's all here. And this is alluded to in the words Az Yashir, means there's a certain quality of the song which they will sing in the future also. Now, I just want to review this quickly with you guys because this is another important point that I did mention yesterday, but just a quick review. The Gemara in Sanhedrin asks, how do we know Tchias HaMesim from the Torah? Okay, so it says Az Yashir. Now, what does this song have to do with Tchias HaMesim? Okay, so part of the answer is, we'll see more hopefully as we go on, that really what happened over Tchias HaMesim itself is about the physical world itself becomes alive. Even the physical body becomes alive, everything gets its own spirituality. Even the physical body gets raised up to be like a neshama at a certain level. The neshama goes even higher. It's always going to be a relationship, but it gets raised up tremendously. Over here, the water itself, the Vilna Gaon explains that the water itself actually got life. Hashem actually gave life to the water itself, and he gave our physical body also a very, very big aliyah of life at this time when they walk through the water. Yeah? And a person has to know that the Gemara tells us that only a person who believes in Tchias HaMesim will be zocheh to get Tchias HaMesim. Okay? Part of the reason is because a person has to create their own relationship with Hashem, which means to say that they're going to trust Hashem that he is going to raise them out of the grave. You understand what I'm saying? There's a certain quality of trusting Hashem is going to raise them out of the grave. A person, the first thing we do in the morning is we say, Moda ani lefanecha, then we end up saying, right, Rabbi Munasecha. One of the main explanations that just like you raised me up from the sleep now, which is like 1/6 of death, so too, Rabbi Munasecha will be your Amunah in the future also, right? That you're going to raise me out of the grave also in the future. Also in the Baruch of Tchias HaMesim, we're always focusing on this, Mechai Mesim, we're always focusing on that. So when we're talking about Az Yashir, that's also a certain aspect of recognizing, bringing us back from the dead. It's interesting that the Haftorah we say on Pesach itself is about the story of Yechezkel with the raising the dead bones. That even though the Jewish people are kind of like spiritually dead, he gives them new life. He gives them new life. And that's what we're supposed to get at the end of Pesach, is a new life that was really lost. It was lost in the Klippas, and Hashem is giving us a little Tchias HaMesim over here of things that were potentially lost. Right? That's what's supposed to happen at the end. That's represented. Right? That's like a first little hint to Tchias HaMesim right there. That's what happened at Yetzias Mitzrayim. Got it? Okay. Aziv Azim Raska. Vayihi Lil Yeshua. Yazek Kelevian Ve'elo Ke'avimenu. Now it's interesting, the Lashon of Ka over here. Yeah, the Lashon of Ka is a half name. It's not a full name. There's Ka and there's Yud Ke Vav Ke. So it's interesting, what is this, why is this language of Ka used and not, it's going to say in a second, Hashem Ish Milchama, Hashem Shmo. It's Hashem Shmo, it doesn't say Ka. So what is it about exactly the Ka? That needs understanding. Okay. It says, Vayihi Lil Yeshua, Zeh Kelevian Ve'elo Ke'avimenu. Now I'm going to start, there's a very beautiful Emek Dover over here. A very beautiful Emek Davar. Maybe that'll give us insight into the whole pasuk. Yeah. What's the difference between, now these words of Zeh Keli V'Yanvehu again can be understood at different levels. We're going to explain a couple of them right now, I hope. But I'm starting with the Emek Davar. What's the concept of, it says Zeh Keli V'Yanvehu. What's the language of Kel? Every name of Hashem, as you guys are well aware of, has a different implication of a different meter. What's the meter of Kel?
Chesed.
You guys know? Chesed. Thank you, Nady. Beautiful. Chesed, right? Zeh Keli V'Yanvehu Elokei Avi Ramenu. So what's Elokei Avi is going to be din. That's lashon of Elokim. Elokei Avi, and the Emek Davar explains that the concept, there's something called Yuridus Adoros. When Hashem is relating to the previous generations, classically he has more din on them because they can handle more. They're at a higher level. They can handle more din. So that's called Zeh Keli. For me, I relate, he gives me chesed. Elokei Avi for Armenu. Now, what does it mean to raise up Hashem? We say, I will raise him up. We say we have all these different qualities we describe Hashem with. Gadol, Gibor, Nor, he's raised up. What does it mean to raise up Hashem?
Could it be a repetition of Ki Galgal? Said that Hashem can't be haughty.
That's good. That's good. It's good thinking.
So we will be haughty with him.
It's very good thinking. It's good. I like it. Right? The Emek Davar says something else, but that's still, over there Hashem is doing it. Over here, we're going to raise up Hashem. How do we raise up Hashem? He's already up. How are we going to raise him up?
Cheer.
What? Cheer man.
Huh?
What'd you say?
By singing cheer.
By singing shir. Good. Okay, excellent.
Yeah, we raise him up by praising him.
Right, which is cheer, no?
Okay. Yeah. It's all good. So I'm going to tell you what the Emek Davar says. He says a little bit different angle, and it could also be included in what you guys are saying also. It could also be pulled in, but he says like this: what does it mean that Hashem is high up? So it's interesting, the language of Ram, the Malbim explains, always means something which is above us and not connected to us. Something which is high up means there's no connection. It's high up and beyond. That's called Rimga. So the idea is, when a person sees din, when din happens, what is the proper response to din? It is to recognize that Hashem sees the future more, right? When hardship happens, Hashem is up there. We have to have a moon in Hashem that he's up there. He sees ahead what's the best for the long run. When they were going through Yetzias Mitzrayim, when they were in the exile of Mitzrayim, they had a lot of din in the exile itself. And what's the proper response? That's to recognize, well, it's very hard for them, excruciating difficult for them, but how do they raise up Hashem? They put him up to realize he's high up. So when a person's 6 foot high, you can see so far ahead, 5 feet high, a little bit less, 7 feet, a little bit more. How far are you going to see into the horizon? When your Hashem is way, way up there, you can see very far away. You can see what's going to be, in 20 generations. He sees till the end of time. He's very high up. So we only see right now. We can't see so far ahead into the future. You understand? So the concept of raising up Hashem, when you recognize that Hashem is above us, and even though we don't understand what's happening, right, we know that it's for the best. He sees the long run. You understand? Yes? Right. So that's called raising him up. That's our response to the concept of din. So that's what it means. Elokei Avi v'Aromenu. When Hashem gives us chesed, what do? Zeh Keli V'Yanvehu. I will beautify him. I will take all the good things he's giving me, and I'm not going to just go run away with them. All the chesed he gives me, I'm going to use it to beautify his name in the world. This word beautify can mean a lot of different things. But simply speaking, it's hit or mitzvah to show how wonderful he is in the world. You understand? So that's what we call the chesed and the din. Now, all of the sorrows that happened now to the Mitzrayim, all of their getting beaten up, really came because Hashem hid his name a little bit. You understand? When Hashem, he hid himself in Mitzrayim, and all these things that are going to happen out of the Mitzrayim are coming as a result of all the sorrows that they gave the Jews. You understand? So all of the things that are happening now really came because Hashem hid himself a little bit and let the Mitzrayim do bad things. Right? So when it comes back down, now the words Aziv Zimras Kal could be understood different ways. We're trying to explain different ways. I'm just explaining in a very simple way. It means the strength of God in his Zimra is lesson of Krisut, to cut off. It's the cutting off of Ka, which means to say Hashem, who's beyond, he was hiding himself for a while. When he was hiding himself itself, that exactly set up our Yeshua, which is also the idea of the din. The Mitzrayim actually helped him fix us up, right? But that itself now turned into din against them and caused them to get wiped out. You understand what I'm saying? So all of the things happening now are things, they weren't things just happened that started now. All of the song that's going to be happening is a response to the Mitzrim who did bad things are getting back. Now Hashem is getting them back, is giving them back what they deserve at the time when he was really expressing the concept of Ka. When he was kind of hidden. You know what I'm saying? So really who's fighting is Ka at a certain level. Then we're going to say Hashem in a second, but the point is right now, right, that who's fighting is Ka because the hidden name, that's the part, everything was registered. Even though he was hidden, everything was registered, nothing got mixed. We're going to see that Hashem gave everybody exactly what they deserved. Nobody got away with anything. You understand? So his strength of holding back and letting them do what was needed to be done for us is going to cut them off in the end because they did negativity. He's going to get them back for that, and they're going to be cut off. You guys understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yes? So the concept of the Ka over here is recognizing that the same Ka which allows potential negativity to happen to us says, Vayihi li lishua, it was actually a salvation for me. So all this thing that Hashem was doing when he was hidden, it turned out to be my big salvation because this in the end wiped out all the mitzvahs and it gave us our tikkun, and now we're walking through the water, and it wouldn't have happened without them. It wouldn't have happened without this process. So the whole process of Ka, which again allows God to be a little bit hidden, that ended up being a Yeshua for us. They realized that everything they're getting now is because Hashem hid himself and allowed the mitzvah to do negativity to them. And that which fixed them up like we explained in the last class. Jonathan, you understand what I'm saying? You sure? You're not so sure.
No, I'm not so sure.
Okay. Listen, the concept of Ka is means to say Hashem isn't revealed totally in the world. Okay? That was the state when the Jews were in Mitzrayim, when they were having suffering. Right now, Hashem is, all of the suffering they got now, they're seeing how it's all going to pay off for them. It's going to come through, and Hashem is going to come, and everything the Mitzrayim did to them he's going to pay them back. He's going to get them. The ones who were bigger Rishon, they suffered more. The little ones less. And all of the fix up of their goof came because of that, right? So the strength, the strength and the cutting off of Ka, which means to say, when he says the cutting off of Ka, means to say that he's wiping out the Mitzrayim because of what he allowed them to do to us before. Because they didn't have any good intentions. They were trying to hurt us. And saying that itself, all this process, they realize now that became our Yeshua. Hashem split the sea for us, right? Because we got fixed up. Now he split the sea for us because of the concept of Ka, right? And he is at the same time, he's wiping them out. So he's attacking them at the same time, paying them back at the same time. He's saving us. It all came from this concept of Ka, which the whole process wouldn't have happened unless he would have hit himself a little bit. Let this happen. To set everything
question.
up. What?
Question. Can we say this sort of applies all throughout history, not just for Yitzhak Mitzrayim? As if Zimrat Ka, Hashem, there's always times that Hashem is in a state of Ka, that we're down. I mean, specifically, I'm not saying specifically now, but like all the Galiyot, as if Zimrat Ka, and then the end, like Yeshua, and all the Chagim, like Hanukkah especially, as if Zimrat Ka, like Yeshua, Purim especially. Sorry.
Right, all of them, 100%. This is something which is all of this
continues
song.
throughout
This is the way Hashem
history.
relates to us. That's why it's for every generation. This is for every single generation. This is the thing that we recognize, that the Ka which allows him to be hidden a little bit, in the end, it's going to be for me for Yeshua. I might not see it yet in this generation, wherever it is. We will see it soon, right? But that's the relationship. Even when there's a Ka, he's a little bit hiding himself. That's why it says at the end of the pasuk, Zekil, when I see the Chesed, I have this way. When I see the din, I react that way. We just raise him up and reckon he knows what's for the best. That's what we learn out of this concept called the Ka. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You do, but I see Jonathan not so excited over there. I don't see Nady at all. Nady, you following this?
I'm listening.
You're listening. Nady, you're listening?
Yeah.
You're following?
Yeah.
A little bit, pretty much?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, good enough for now. Okay. So it says, Aziv Zimras Ka, the strength and the cutting off of Ka, it was for me a salvation, right? He's punishing them, he's saving us at the same time, right? Zekeli Van Veu, like we explained before, he has chesed, and we will beautify him. Now there's another idea also, which Benji alluded to before, mentioned a second ago, that Zekeli, that's our direct relationship with Hashem. Zekeli means each person has a direct relationship with Hashem, like we explained before. It says Ashur la Hashem, right? the direct relationship that Hashem is giving us, it actually is mechayev us. What does it mechayev? It means it obligates us. What is it obligated? It obligates each person to make a place for Hashem. The lashon of anvehu means I will make a dwelling place for him in this world. Our job as Jews, we're trying, everybody in their own hearts, in their own houses, right? In their own lives, they're trying to make a place for Hashem in the world. So to the extent that he's giving us, he's Zekeli. When you say the word Zeh always means you can point to it. When a person's living with God properly, he's supposed to be able to point to him, not to he doesn't have a body, but his presence all the time. We make the brachos, we're always trying to recognize how close Hashem's involved with us. He says, Zekeli Ganveo. So our lives, this is something we got out of Kriyas Yamsuf. We got, the Shekhinah came down with us over here, and it fixed us up to be able to receive the godly presence. You understand? So that's what we're saying over here. Look, he's God my father. When there's going to be din, I'm going to raise him up. Okay. Hashem Ishmol Chama Hashem Shemo. Okay. So Rabbeinu Bechai explains over here. First of all, it's interesting that all the psukim are always double. There's always this and there's right and left. There's always both things happening. And it's explained that at the same time when Hashem, usually when a king is fighting, so at that time he's fighting. He's not doing anything else. He's fighting. A person can only do one thing at a time. Whereas Hashem, when Hashem is Ishmol Chama, he's fighting his war. At the same time, he's having Rachamim. The same Hashem is also Rachamim. Hashem Shmo, he's still having Rachamim at the same time. Everything's unified together. You can do both. You can have both at the same time. You understand? Now it's going to explain how this works a little bit. It says like this. Markavos paro v'chelo yaravayam umivchar shlishav tubu b'yom suf. Now, there's a difference between the yam and the yam suf. Okay, what's the difference between the yam? That's the middle of the yam. In the yam suf, the Malbim explains that's like the reeds. So at the beginning of there's no beach over there, but there was a reed sea, right? And there was reeds like at the shallow part. There would be reeds that grew up. You know what I'm saying, right? So the way that the armies work, says the Malbim, right, is that they would send in the main forces at first to fight, and they'd leave like their strongest people in the back. So after the war was, towards the end, there was maybe a draw or wherever they were, then they'd send the strongest people to finish it off. And then they come in with the big guys, right? So what Hashem did, right? So the big guys, they were in the Yamsuf. That's what it says, Mivchar Shalishav. That means like the strongest, the most chosen soldiers, right? They were waiting until the end to come and finish things off. That was the tactics. That's called Mivchar Shalishav. Yeah, the chosen. I don't know what Shlishav means exactly. I for sure used to. I don't remember right now. 1 second. Let me see this little parish over here about Shlishav. Yeah, it says Giborav, his chosen warriors, the strong ones, right? So what happened was they didn't even make it in. Hashem immediately to Yam Suf, he just they sunk like it's like quicksand. Hashem just sunk them straight down into the Yam Suf. They just got sunk straight down, says the Malbim. Okay, and the Markavos Paro and his chariots and the Chelo Yarav Yam. He generally speaking, a chariot which is very heavy, it just sinks down. Over here it was Yarav Yam, it was thrown around. It was in the Yam itself. Hashem threw it around, made a special miracle that the whole thing should be like, they're going to be thrown around inside the Yam itself. They didn't just sink. They were mamish getting, all mixed up in there. Okay. Tohomos yichas yumu. Hashem opened up when he did Kriyas Yamsuf. There's a deeper idea of this. I'm not getting into it now. Maybe we'll talk about it later. But it says that when Hashem did Kriyas Yamsuf, he not only split open the ocean, meaning the Yamsuf, but he opened up the Tehomot, which is like the depths. It wouldn't have normally been there, but he opened up the depths. So like the depths of the creation, the depths of the abyss kind of opened up over there also. It says over here that they it covered them over, the abyss. Now, why is that important? I'm not going into it now. We'll talk about it maybe next time. We're going to stop soon. I think it's a little bit much. It's a little much for him. We've been talking a long time already. Yeah. And then it says, Yardu bim solos kamo evan. Now, Chazal tell us that each person got a different type of a punishment. He says that the ones who are, the not the worst ones, the better ones, right? They drowned right away. So that's an illusion over here. They went down like, there's an Evan, there's Kash, and there's Opheris. So the Evan, that's like the medium, and the Opheris went down really fast. But these are the Evan ones. It says they were Yardu, they went down to the Misulos, which is like, again, another lesson for the depths. Okay, we're gonna stop over here for tonight. I'm getting tired, quite honestly, and then we've been talking for now quite a while. We started. We'll continue on. I'll tell you what this. Hopefully, next time I'll explain to you what the significance of these depths are over here. Why would Kriyas Yamsuf have been less significant if it needed these depths to open up? What's the difference, right? So obviously, if Hashem opened up the depths, there's something He wanted to prove over here. There's something He wanted to do over here. We'll B'ezrat Hashem get into that next time, and we'll continue on our way.
Thank you, Rav.
Thank you, Rav.
Okay, we'll see you guys hopefully tomorrow. We'll continue on our journey through Pesach. We'll probably talk the Carbon Pesach tomorrow or something. Whatever it'll be.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful afternoon. And I am going to do the same in my nighttime.
Yeah, tonight is here as well.
Good night, Rav.
Where are you? Jonathan, where are you?
England.
You're in England. Oh, it's night there as well. Okay.
And I'm in Israel.
You're in
So
Israel.
good night
So
to
anyway,
everyone.
Nady already left. So Nady, goodbye for you. A wonderful evening. See you guys later. Wonderful.
I see you tomorrow, Rav.
See you. Bye.